So now we have finished all our body foot section, and now we're getting ready to start the toe. This is our beginning round marker that's right in the middle of our heel. Now I have my heel, I have my sock on magic loops. So my wings are telling me where my heel stitches versus my instep stitches are. If you're on a 9-inch needle, two things. You're going to probably have to switch it to either double points, 2 circulars, or magic loop. Now this is your beginning of the round. So you need to know if you're on 9-inch needles, you're sitting like this, and you need to figure out where your corners are, your heel versus your instep. There's a couple ways you can do it. The easiest way, oops, I took off my marker. If my marker was right here and I know how many stitches I have, in this case I have 40 total, so I have 20 for the back and 20 for the, 20 for the heel and 20 for the instep. I can turn around and say, well, this is the middle of my heel. I can go over 10 stitches by, 6, 10. I can put a marker. In my case, because I'm doing magic loop, I pull out my wing. And then I can go back on this side and go 10 back this way, 5, 10. In my case, I'm going to pull out my other wing. Those are telling me. But if you are doing something else, you can, now, if you're doing 2 circulars, you can put 1 circular on one side and 1 circular on the other. But this beginning of the round marker can tell you where to split, because you want your heel and your toe to be in alignment. See how I can fold and you can see where the heel is right here? You want it to be in that same line. You want the toe to come like this. Let me see here, I got a sock here. Okay, so I want, if I fold this like the heel, okay, I want my toe, whoops, my toe is folded wrong, there we go. I want my toe to decrease, here we go. See how my toe's decreasing? My heel is here. So I want them on the same plane. What I don't want is the toe to be on the side and twisted. Okay, so if this is the middle of the heel, you can put half your stitch, you can work your counts. So let's say you got 64. So you would have 32 and 32. You would say 16 on this side, 16 on this side, because this is the middle. Okay? Now, toe length and how many stitches to end at the end. A lot of patterns do. A lot of them base it off of leaving 1 inch, okay, for your tip of your toe. I'm not going to lie. I like mine a little wider, so usually mine are closer to 1.5 inches or so. So a lot of fingering patterns will say leave on total 16 stitches, 8 stitches on each side. I usually leave 12 on each side for me, because my toes, like if I had a pointy toe like this, okay, I can see the 1 inch. But my big toe to my next toe, there's not that much difference in my foot. So I like a flatter top. So I go a little wider. I go to about 1.5 inches. Okay. But this is how you can make your own adjustments based off of what toes. You know, my husband had a long, thin foot, and he had a longer toe next to his big toe. Okay, his pointer toe, whatever you want to call it, was much longer. Okay, so I kept his at 1.5 inches because he was a man, so his feet were wider. I didn't make them, even wider yet. Now, most common decreases are usually decreasing every other round. Now, we got our split in half, and if you look at our pattern, it'll say knit to 3 stitches before the marker or the corner. Oh, now, let me put that. If you're doing the 2 circular needles, you can put 1 needle doing this half of the stitches and 1 needle doing this half of the stitches. If you're doing double points, Some people, okay, there's a couple different ways they'll do it. But let's say they use excuse me, God, I can't talk. 4 places. They will take one needle and maybe do it like a third. And they will place markers. They'll place a unique marker for the beginning of the round, or needle 1, whatever you want to call it. So you might have this blue here, a dangly. Then I will leave on, let's say here, right now I have a total of, God, I can't even talk anymore. I will put my stitch marker, and I will have my first one of them will be these stitches right before and right after. Another one will be stitches that'll be right before and right after this corner, and right before and right after this corner, so that I can have stitch markers on those corners too, and I can tell where I got to do my increases and decreases. I do magic loop, which is my preferred method, so this is why I have this. Okay, so now it says knit to 3 stitches before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's my 3 stitches before. And then it is knit 2 together. Then it says knit 2. Well, one's going to be here. If you have a stitch marker, it'll be, the stitch marker, you'll have to slide a stitch marker over. Knit number 2 will be on this side. And then it will be an SSK, a slip knit, or a slip knit modified if you want, like I do. Okay, and then you're going to knit all the way down to the other side and do the same thing. I like to think of it as I have, boom, boom, boom. When I come into the corner, or the corner of the toe, I'm going to do a decrease just 1 stitch before, and then I'm going to have 1 stitch. So I'm 1 stitch before, I'm doing it, and I'm going to have 1 knit stitch before the corner. And then when I come on this side, I got to knit 1 again, so I have 1 stitch on this side, and then I do a slip knit on this side. And now I'm back to the beginning of the round. So I completed 1 decrease round. And I'm going to knit just 2 stitches past my stitch marker. Oops. So I don't drop it off like that. 1, 2. Okay. So we're always doing a knit 2 before, 1 knit, 1 knit after, and then an SSK. And then you're doing the same thing on the other side. Now we're going to turn around and say, all right, this is going to be our rest row. We're going to do 1 round of just plain knitting all the way around. What different patterns will have different toe, they might not have you do 2 stitches in between like I do, 1 on each side. Every pattern has their own, every designer has their own unique spin on things. So it's good to look for what their rhythm is. Most of them a lot of them do this one, and they usually will have a all knit row in between every decrease. Just like in a sweater, usually when you're doing an increase for your raglans or for your yokes, or decreases for your sleeves, usually there's at least 1 rest row in between. Now, that being said, if you need to adjust your toe box length, you can add an extra plain row to make it longer, or and I wouldn't do it all the time, but I would do it occasionally. Or you can actually do 2 really quick 2 decreases in a row if you need to shorten your toe box. But a good standard rule or guideline is 1 decrease round, 1 plain round, 1 decrease round, 1 plain round. Now, every time we go around, we're decreasing a total of 4 stitches. Okay, because we're doing one here, one here, and then on the other side, one here and one here. So we decreased 4 stitches last time. I just did a plain row. So now I'm going to do another one, and it's going to be another 4 stitches decreased. So I'm going to come to 3 stitches before. Here I go. Here's my knit 2 together. Oops. Knit 2 together, knit 1, turn. So that was 1 decrease. Knit 1, and here's my slip knit, or my modified, and that's 2. That's 2 decreases. So 2 decreases on each. So you're doing 2 decreases there, and then we're going to go across and do 2 more. So in essence, we're actually decreasing 2 stitches on the instep side and 2 decreases on the heel side. So for this one, I'm going to go down to, I don't know, I think I'll go down to 10 stitches, only because I don't really, one, it's not a real sock. And 2, this way I can show you the Kitchener stitch. You'll start seeing a nice, let's see if I can see it after I do this one. You'll start seeing a little bit of a line along the outside edge of your toe. And it's kind of a nice looking line, at least I think it is. I'll show you on that other sock. Here we go. Let's pull it up here. So if you look at my toe here, I know it's in color here, but you can kind of see, and this is a worn sock, you can see that line. See those? See that group of stitches right there that create a line? And it's on both sides. Okay, that's what we're going to get. It'll be like a 2-3 row of stitches straight. So it just gives a nice corner edge. So I will be back with you when I get down to 10 stitches. So I'm just going to knit away so that you don't have to sit here and watch me. This one is, I just finished my decrease, so this is going to be a plain row. So now I'm down to my 10 stitches on each side, 20 stitches total. Okay, I'm going to knit to the, I'm going to take off my marker now. I'm going to knit to the corner. Bum, 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 bum. And now I am going to do my Kitchener stitch, or my which is grafting the toe. We are going to create a stitch that's going to go from here to here. We're going to create the stitch, and we're going to use it using a darning needle on the thread. Okay, so you need at least 3 times the length you're doing. I mean, we're doing very short, so I leave a little extra. Okay, now you got a piece of paper, part of the pattern, but as I tell you, okay, you know, it says these first 2, these are what they call the setup stitches. I don't use them on a sock. I use them in different places, but not on a sock. And if I was to rewrite this, I'd probably rewrite it a little bit different, where it says knit front stitch, take front stitch off knitwise. But here, let me show you what I'm doing. Okay. I like to do a lot visually. So visually, when I'm looking at this, and I have everything set up on my needles now, and see how everything, I'm not going to use these needles. I'm using a darning needle and thread. I have cut it, you know, I've left length and I've cut it. But when I'm looking at these stitches, I see the knit side of this stitch. I see the purl side here, or the wrong side. So the pattern, the Kitchener stitch, is you take off one stitch and you do the opposite into the next stitch. So it's take off the knit, put your darning needle in as if you're going in knit-wise, like if you're going to knit the stitch, put your darning needle in that way. So it's knit off, turn your stitch around, turn your needle around, and go through the next knit stitch as if to purl. Okay, and then we're going to pull. Okay, let me do that again because I forgot to tell you something. Hold on one second. Sometimes I'm not always that good. Let's turn this back around. I got something. I got to put something back on real quick. Whoop. I'll put this on as if to knit. So that would be that way. Good. Okay. All right. So when I'm doing this, I've got it set up where the yarn that's attached to the back needle. So I'm continuing around here. I want to make sure I made that point. I'm going from the back to the front. This is my knit stitches. This is my purl side stitches, purl side of my stitches. We're going to take off this knit stitches as if to knit. We're going to take off the purl stitches as if we're going to purl. So we're going to take off the knit stitch as if to knit. Rotate your needle around. Now we're going to do the setup. The next stitch, the next knit stitch, we're going to go in purlwise. And see how the yarn is going across underneath the needle, but it's going across, going from here to here. Okay. Now we're going to go to the back side stitch. This is what I see as a purl. So I'm going to take off a purl stitch as if to purl. And then I'm going to go through the next purl stitch as if to knit, but leave it on. And if you notice, I keep my fingers on the stitches, especially the ones I'm not going to use. Like my finger will be here while I'm doing this one because I don't want this stitch to fall off while I'm working on the front. So I'm going to knit off the first. Go in as the purlwise to set it up for the next time. See, I put my thumb over the top of the knit stitch, the last knit stitch, because I don't want it to fall off while I'm working on the back. I'm going to purl off the first stitch, and I'm going to knit through the second stitch, and I put my finger back over it because I want to keep control. I want to keep control of my stitches because you can easily get caught up in here and see how that one wants to slide forward. So if I don't have my finger on it, it's easy. So this is my knit side. So I knit off. My setup is the opposite. Purl stays on. That's purl off. This is my purl stitches. So I purl off and I knit stay on. And the yarn is going just underneath the needle and going back here. So we're going back and forth. We're going to go all the way across. Each time we're taking off one stitch. And just like when you're knitting, you don't want to split your stitches if you can avoid it. You want to keep it the same. Now, you should have this, always have this, once you finish the front and the back, you should have the same stitches. Now see, my yarn is coming from my back, so I know I just finished my back, so now I know I got to go to my front. So if you get interrupted in the middle, okay, you know what you did. That's also why I like to do it in one motion, purl on, turn around, go right back in, knit to stay on, and put my finger over it. It's because then I know it's done, boom, boom. I don't get interrupted. Some people like to do it like 2 different steps, and I don't like doing that. Okay. Purl off, knit on, that's the purl stitches. So I like to do visually. I see a knit, I knit it off, I set it up as with the opposite, the purl. This is the purl side, I purled that off, I set it up with the knit stitch. Okay, you can see it's really coming out nice. All right, let's see here. I'm going to get to the end. You're going to continue all the way across until you get down to 1 stitch each. Knit off, purl on, and that's when you got to really make sure you keep track of your, keep a little something on the stitches because they can come off really easy. Now I'm down to 1 on each needle. So this would be the knit, so that comes off knitwise. I'll turn around and come right back through this back one purlwise. Now they can come off and down. Okay, now I'm doing on worsted thread, but see how this side's got this real, it's got a little tiny one here, but not much. But here, see, it's real big, the ear. So how you get rid of the ear is I kind of go right behind, so I'm coming out this way, so I'm going to bring this up and over and back down, right behind it, just behind it. Oops, excuse me, just behind. I'm literally coming back just behind. So I'm driving it back down. And then I'm going to drive it back in. And that'll pull it up and cinch it up and get rid of that ear. And now I'm ready to weave in my ends and my socks. But see, we created that. Look at that. So when you're doing it, you don't want to over pull it because you want the stitch to be about the same gauge. You don't want to over tighten it. You just want to do just like we talk about when you're casting on or you're knitting. You're kissing the baby. You're not choking the husband. Okay, you just want a nice consistent. But see how it looks like? Looks like it went all the way around. Okay, happy knitting.